Good afternoon again, everybody. Alex StarCraft here, bringing you the fourth game in the best of 5 series between Rock's Kiss Pomi, the blue Protoss in the 6 o'clock position on the Shatter Temple, and MTW's Dimaga, the red Zerg, in the 12 o'clock position on, again, the Shatter Temple. Surprisingly, it is the same map that they are playing on against each other. Now, this is the fourth game in the best of 5. As I said, we saw Pomi take the first 2 games very decisively, it seemed. And then in the last game, Pomi just tried another timing push, a 5-gate robo. Dimaga had his third base up. He was just going for roaches and zerglings. He had some infestors as well near the end. And it seemed that what he did, he held off that push. And then when the final engagement came, it was Dimaga's maxed army versus about a 160-ish, 170-ish supply Protoss army. Dimaga just kind of steamrolled Pomi. It was very interesting seeing exactly how that worked. I think the big part was Dimaga had about 11 Corruptors, while Pomi had 4 Colossi. The Corruptors were two-shotting the Colossus, so they just did too much damage. Dimaga also had slightly better positioning, he had the slightly better concave. And guys, I am starting to get exhausted casting just this best of 5. Oh my gosh. I have so much renewed admiration for all the casters that do this for so long. Of course, I also realize they also generally have co-casters. I think that definitely makes a difference. But I will be casting, live streaming, hopefully, a Virginia Tech, that is the college which I attend, a Virginia Tech StarCraft 2 tournament on the 24th, something like that. Very unfortunate, I know it coincides with the MLG Winter Arena, but we'll all probably play and then watch it. But hopefully I will be live streaming that, and I hope I can make it through okay, just because if I get tired casting this best of 5, what is going to happen if I'm casting a whole bunch? Of course, I know many of them would be just best of 3s, and of course not all of them will go into, they could end as soon as 2 games, which would have been 2 games ago, at which point I was not feeling too terribly tired. So we do have similar openings from last game from both these players. We saw Dimaga did manage to get the hatch up by setting the drone out to here and then down, so the probe did not see it, did not get the chance to block it. We see Pomi opening, well, again, he opened with not the Forge Fast Expand. That's what I'll call this build. I'll call his build the not Forge Fast Expand. Because what he did last game, it seems what he's going to do this game, very similar, is he did Gateway. In this case, he built a Cybercore here, and then he just does, like, Pylon Nexus Forge, or something like that. It's kind of risky, but I think you can definitely hold it. Gets you your gate a little earlier. Of course, you get this Zealot, unfortunately, getting surrounded, and Dimaga doing something I've seen before. It's actually very beautiful to watch when you stutter step Zerglings. Yes, you can indeed do that. I've seen, I originally heard about July doing it. StarTales July, very good Zerg player, Korean. He was a great Brood War player, for those of you that do not know him. But what he'd actually started doing in StarCraft 2 at one point is he'd be getting bunker rushed, and there would just be, you know, 5-6 Marines versus his 15 Zerglings, so he's not in great shape, and they would be microing back, and he would stutter step his Zerglings, so they would get a kind of a pseudo surround each time, and they'd be able to do slightly more damage. So we do have the Stalker coming out from Pomi. This was looking to be Stalker Zealot pressure. Now, unfortunately, the Zealot did get surrounded. It did go down. So it looks like now it is just going to kind of be Stalker pressure. Of course, the Stalker is just as fast as the Zerglings. And we have Dimaga. He's not afraid, though. He's just making more drones, more Overlords. And once again, this map is a little like Tal'Darim Altar, into that it's a pretty big macro map. Again, the cross positions are pretty far from each other still, but there's not an easily accessible third. There's a third you have to break the rocks to get to, and then there's a third you have to break the rocks to make at the high yield. Of course, this is very exposed. It's not nearly as easy to defend, because unless they break down these rocks, their only way up to that is through your natural. And with any luck, you'll be able to defend this. If you're not, you're probably in a little bit of trouble. So we'll have to see, will Dimaga go for some kind of quick tech play like he did in the first game, or will he go for a bigger macro play like he did in the second or third game, serving him differently both games. Of course, different results in those games. You guys should go back and watch so you know which how the games went. They're very good. Of course, I always love more people watching my casts. But these rocks are actually almost down, and it's only about 7 minutes into the game. So these were broken down very quickly by Dimaga. It looks like he's definitely going to be trying to go for at least a fairly quick third. Obviously, it's delayed by about 3 minutes from what any normal third versus a Forge Fast Expand Protoss would be. But we do see him throwing down the gases. He does have a slightly higher drone count than he would normally have. But when he's grabbing his third base, and we see there's the drone, probably going to go grab it very soon. He actually has a lot of Zerglings. And we do see there's a probe coming out here, going to try and scout, but the Zerglings just kind of trying to surround it, completely killing it before it can see anything at all. So it looks like Pomi does actually, he does not know Dimaga's gas timings, he does not know the lair timings, he doesn't know anything. But we see him going for almost the same thing. We see him, yeah, he did do this Forge Gateway Wall with his not Forge Fast Expand. He's got the cannons right here. The Nexus is a part of the wall. It looks like he's just going to be defending one probe going down. He will try and get a second, but no, the sentries and stalkers are too protective of their little drones for that to happen. Of course, Pomi being a very good commander, making sure those probes do stay alive. And what we saw in the previous two games, he would get this robo facility, or bay, no, facility, I'm sorry, this is the bay. No matter what, he would get that observer, and then one game he just didn't even get immortals. One game he went for an immortal timing push, a 5-gate robo push. This game looks like he's going to be going for fast Colossus, which of course can be very good on this map just because of the high ground in and around many of the bases we see back by the third. Of course, there's also the high grounds. With that huge range, they can reach, you know, across here, all sorts of stuff like that. And we see Dimaga going for the Roach Warren, the Roach Tech once again, and the Infestors. He loves these Infestors. Dimaga is a player actually known for his Infestor control. Of course, there's also the players like Destiny and Cats, people like that, who love to go for big Infestor plays, Benishiwa. But Dimaga also does this on the EU ladder all the time, from what I understand. He goes for like Infestors and Mutas and Zerglings, the kind of one of the new age Protoss styles. There's that, the big Roach play, which I have talked about, and then of course the Muta play. He tried the Muta play in game 1. You can go to watch and see how that worked out for him. So he is starting to get this third saturated. He's a good number of drones. He's up to 62 over 53 probes from Pomi. And we see he is breaking down the time to do this third, but that little fake zealot right there did indeed see the exact timing of this third. He knows these rocks are being broken down. And Pomi really likes his sentries. These past few games with his army, he's always had constantly 6 sentries. And what Protosses will generally do, they'll get 6 sentries, and then they don't make them anymore. They get all their other units. But the rocks back here are already broken down, so these sentries might have to come into big play from Pomi. Make sure these Zerglings do not absolutely destroy him. Make sure they do not kill his third, kill these units. If the Zerglings run in when the Protoss is not expecting it, that could definitely be bad. But Dimaga not only knows the timing of the third, but he has free access to the third. A nice little walk of the spine crawlers right there, just getting some defense, and he does indeed have his 5th and 6th gases up. So he has a huge gas income, and this is actually what we saw last game. We saw him do the Roach Ling Infestor style. He does not really have any roaches, or any at all actually, does he? No, he has no roaches on the field, but he does have Infestors as well as 79 drones. Is that what I saw? Yes, so great drone number from Dimaga. Very good sense of exactly how many drones he wants. Generally, as a Zerg player, late game you want to have 75 to 80-ish drones. It's a good number because it gives you a huge economy, but it leaves enough space. And all of a sudden, Pomi notices, oh gosh, these rocks are broken down. Some Zerglings do get picked off. One not quite making it. That Colossus is too big of a range. He takes down these rocks, prepping to take the high yield. It looks like we will just be seeing again from Dimaga, I would guess, Corruptors. Chances are he would not be trying to transition into Mutas at this point in the game. He would just be getting those Corruptors to make sure those Colossi do not completely destroy his ground forces like they often can. Again, that 17 damage times 2 with a range of 9. It does splash as well. It's just kind of insane versus all things ground, especially ones that without a whole lot of armor, like Hydra, Zerglings, Marines, stuff like that. Of course, we will not be seeing Marines in this matchup. So right now, Lothrae's kind of sitting back. We see Combined resources lost under 1,000, so not a whole lot has happened this game. Dimaga going kind of macro crazy here, trying to spend all those minerals he has. You always end up with a lot of extra minerals at this point in the game as a Zerg player, so he's spending them by grabbing a 4th and a 5th base, 4th being at the high yield, getting a lot of Zerglings, some Corruptors. He has 6 Corruptors, 7 Corruptors on the field for 4 Colossi, so he might want to get a few more. I think 11, that number he had last time, was a very good number. Of course, he doesn't quite know the Colossi count. He doesn't see it. He does have a changeling right there, but he doesn't quite know the Colossi count. So maybe once he sees it, he will be getting more, but he needs to be careful that he does not max out before he has the chance to get any more Corruptors. Otherwise, all these Infestors, all the Zerglings could just die, and there it is. He does see the clown, and he is going to be running in. The Infestors are coming in as well, one getting feedback, but they get pretty big fungal growths off. The Zerglings doing a lot of damage, and it looks like the Corruptors are going to be able to kill all of the Colossi, because Pomi simply does not have enough anti-air. He only has a few Stalkers. He has an Archon, but oh my god, even though Dimaga lost a lot of supply there, we see he has 90 drones, over 78 probes. Again, a lot from Pomi, but he definitely has a good economic advantage, and he just killed every single Colossi. Now, granted, Pomi is starting to get the Storms. He's starting to get Immortals. He's worried about the massive numbers of Zerglings, of Roaches, but that Observer getting picked off. Pomi's not going to be able to see the tech for Dimaga anymore. He's not going to be able to see the unit composition. And there are not any other observers on the field. And Pomi's still making probes. It's kind of insane. 81 versus 89 from Dimaga. 90 for Dimaga. 88 for Dimaga because he's making geysers here. But this is this is very interesting. I feel like Pomi's actually not in too great shape. We see this Protoss ball is fine. It's a good composition, but there are a lot of Zerg units. Of course, these Corruptors kind of dead weight at this point, but we have 20 seconds until the Greater Spire is finished. That will mean he'll be able to make about 7 Broodlords. We have these Zerglings running around. They know what's happening, but we do have an engagement coming up here, going into the Spine Crawlers. Great fungal going off on those Zealots. These Corruptors just kind of running in, but there is actually not really any damage they can do. They cannot shoot anything on the field right now. And if Dimaga can hold this off and get out Broodlords, he will be in good shape. He move these away. I would love to see him make them Broodlords right now. Come on, Dimaga. At the meantime, up here, it looks like the high yield is going to be attacked, and there we go. He is making them into Broodlords. And if he can get those out and live until he does, he's 7 on the way. He needs about 20 more seconds before they are out. The Protoss army will not be in great shape. He does have Blink, but he doesn't have too many Stalkers, and Dimaga, we see with so much money, just able to produce as many Zerglings as his larva and a larva will allow, and as his heart desires. So we do have the Broodlords are done. They are getting some reinforcing Stalkers, actually, and they're going to be running over towards this base, but they are on the high ground, which definitely gives them advantage. We see they tried to blink up. They did not have high ground vision, so they did not make it. The Stalkers sniping as many Broodlords as they can, but they do not have sufficient number. They are all going to be going down to those Broodlords. So many Broodlings, and of course the Broodlings, same upgrades as the Zerglings with the +2/+2, and there's a GG from Pomi. And it looks like Dimaga has managed to tie up this best of 5. He started at an 0-2 deficit. Pomi went up to a quick 2-0. Then he steamrolled the timing pushes in the last 2 games, getting the perfect composition. And he actually did. He killed all of the probes here. It looks like he did. Doesn't really matter because he won no matter what. Overall, that would have made a difference, but I think the biggest part was he just crushed Pomi's entire force. You see he has nothing but 10 Stalkers somewhere on the map. Probably, yeah, right here. But 10 Stalkers versus all those Broodlords, all those Zerglings, not the best. So we'll have to see what happens in the ace match. I'll bring it to you guys as soon as I can. I am so excited. I hope you guys are too, and I'll see you guys soon.